Okay, so now I'm going to sing Catchapedia and then you sing Catchapedia.
Okay.
Catchapedia.
You want to do it again?
Catchapedia. Catchapedia.
Ooh, I like that
nice.
one.
Okay, one more time.
I'm going to try it again. Okay.
Catchapedia Words for Writers podcast and Catchapedia Poetry Radio is a program by Flying Ketchup Press in Kansas City, Missouri to develop new and diverse voices. Our dream is to salvage lost treasure troves of written and illustrated work, to create worlds of wonder and delight, to share your story. Find us at www.flyingketchuppress.com.
So we'll just get our voices warmed up for a second and we'll
Introduce ourselves.
Okay. La 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 la.
La 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 la.
You know, my mom used to teach voice lessons, and I would sit next door while they were practicing.
Oh.
So I know all the voice exercises. So you go, me, 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 me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it is just a wonderful day to be at the recording studio with you, Hope Houtwed.
Aw. Glad to be here.
And this is Polly Alice. I am glad to be going to talk about a word of the day. I know that all of our listeners just love to talk about writing. And I get a lot of calls every day with people asking me different aspects of writing, how to get published, how to do their craft better, you know, have we finished making their story into the book yet? So what word should we pick today to talk about?
We should talk about story.
Story. Okay, I love stories.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing in the whole world, probably, stories.
Yeah, we can't even exist without story. Like, just.
So how are we going to talk about it? I guess we'll have to define it and say, like, what is a story or what's a good story?
A story is a record of a series of events, usually in chronological order, but not always.
It's a record.
Yeah.
So that's like an ancient idea of what a story is, a record.
Yeah.
Because why would you make up something?
Well, I mean, you have, like, myths and legends, too. Those probably, like, those also count as story.
Okay, so a story is a record, often in chronological order. But what do you think a story is?
I think a story is a tale. I don't know.
It's a tale. Well, I know I did a lot of reading of old ancient dead Greek writers, and I remember one of them saying that a story would be something you would give to an audience. It would be something you would perform for a whole group of people.
Yeah.
And that would be like healing and wonderful for the whole community. Like they didn't write every story down, they would just go and perform it. So I guess maybe that's like ancient Greek podcasts.
Yeah. And that would also that's like oral storytelling.
Yeah, oral storytelling.
It like doesn't have to be written. It's just like passed down generation to generation.
I guess we're back to that. So, what is your favorite kind of story?
A good one.
Okay, so Miss Editor, what makes a good story?
I
know you read a lot of stories this year.
Yes. What makes a good story is you have to have good characters.
Okay.
And by good characters, it doesn't mean they can't, like, good or evil. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, well-written, well-fleshed out characters that have emotions and that move throughout the story.
Okay.
There's a term I'm thinking of. I think it starts with an A. But it's how a character moves through a story.
Arc.
No, not arc.
I don't know. She's Googling it. So, but maybe we should define what a short story is. Like how long it is. The actual length.
The length of a short story is anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 words.
But once you get past 8,000, it is way too long, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, because I tried to have a call for long stories one time, and they were just basically unfinished novels. They weren't. It didn't work like I thought it would. So, I guess the thing about a story is it needs to be produced in some sort of segment short enough for your brain to handle, right?
Well,
that you could
yeah.
you could micro tell it, you could tell that story again to somebody over the phone in a few seconds.
Okay, yeah. I mean, but yeah, it doesn't
And if
have.
it's too long for that, it's not a story. It's like an epic tale of woe.
An epic tale of woe.
Yes.
A story also needs a setting that feels.
Yeah.
I really like when the setting feels like a character in the story. I don't know if you ever heard of people
Me
talk about it like
too.
that.
I totally agree. That is my number one thing, setting. I love setting, and it has
Yeah.
to be. I'm not as great as characters as I am at setting because I want to be transported.
Right.
I don't really mind as much who the character is as long as you take me to a great place.
I see. I used to be like that, but my last one of my last classes in college, everyone was like obsessed with characters, and some of them were like, "All I do is write characters all day long, and then I forget to write the setting or the actual story." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm totally the opposite way." But then I started playing around with characters, and it's pretty fun because I have like this whole range of characters, and there's so many, and it's kind of overwhelming because I want every character of every different like kind of background, because they can like as the story changes and as the setting changes, they also change too.
Okay, so
And
how
I'm
do you
like,
play with a character? I mean, do you write a scene or do you... I've made lots of character charts and I get tired of those because then I don't know what to do with them.
no, I tried that too, and that's way too overwhelming because you're like put on the spot. You're like this character's whole personality and where they're from, and it's just really overwhelming.
Yeah, I know everything about them except there's still no story yet.
Yeah, exactly. What I do is I have like a vague outline of a character, like where I want them to be from, like their ethnicity and the language that they speak. Basically, just a rough outline, and then I throw them into a scene,
Okay.
and I write the scene, and I kind of just let my fingers speak through me.
Okay, so you give them a situation.
Yeah, because I already know like where the story's going. Like I have that all mapped out. So I write it with this character inserted in, and sometimes they don't always fit in the end. But and
One of
then
my professors told me that you should take your character, put them in a tree, or like it was something about putting them in a tree and throwing apples at them. I don't remember, but it was something about like make sure the character is having a hard time.
Oh, okay, okay.
So is that the kind of scene that you would try, or would you just like what kind of scene is this?
Not necessarily. A lot of times I'll write like an introductory scene,
Okay.
but not always. It's just basically because the only reason that you introduce characters is, well, maybe not the only reason, but one of the only reasons I do is so they can interact with the other characters.
Okay.
So if I already have other characters like completely set up and I know all the aspects of their personality, and I introduce a new character, I can start building that new character based off of how I think they would like interact with my already set characters.
Okay, so you're like triangulating, like taking characters and seeing how they react to each other.
Yeah, and in the setting that they're in and in the situation. Because that's just how people work. You can have a group of people in a certain setting in a certain situation, and every single person is going to react differently.
Yes.
Well, maybe not every single one, but like, you know.
And what will push them?
Yeah.
What kinds of things can they not accept?
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you have like this certain situation that all these characters are in, like mine is post-apocalyptic, and if you have all these characters in the situation, some of them might be like, oh, let's be a hero and go try to fix this. But there's going to be plenty of them that are like, I'm just going to stay back and chill, and maybe I'll like find some fruit or something.
Fruit.
And like I really like that dynamic because that's just how people are. Like if you make all of them heroes, that's not realistic.
Okay. So if somebody wants to write a story, they're going to need a couple characters at least.
Yeah.
And they're going to need a setting.
A setting that is alive. It's like its own kind of character.
Okay, a good setting. And then they're going to need something that's causing some problems for these characters, or else they'll have nothing to talk about.
Like an antagonist.
And I've heard a lot of editors call it conflict.
Conflict, yeah.
And that if that conflict isn't right at the beginning of the story, it's not engaging because we don't know. If we need to know the problem first, that's what interests people.
Right. Well, and also when you introduce characters, defining like what drives them,
Mm.
because then I think once you do that, then you can figure out like what sort of conflict they have personally.
Okay, so we've got inner conflict, outer conflict.
Yeah.
What is their dream? What do they want more than anything else in the world? So with all that, you can write a story. So what we do at my house is we have this little game we play where we'll tell a kid story that way. Like we'll just say, okay, tell me a story about a giraffe or a chipmunk that likes peanut butter. And then we'll just, so that person will start and you'll end up who knows where
Yeah.
by the time you're done.
Oh, that's fun.
I guess it's just sort of a game. Like they sell those story cards where you can do that. So what ways can you generate a good story if you don't know what to do? Like you seem to have these characters you come up with to throw into the pot. So where do you get these characters and conflicts from and settings?
Like me personally?
I guess.
Oh, I know. I have two things. From real life.
Okay.
I'll take people from real life because, especially like when I go to work and I have like my coworkers and they do something that is so out of the ordinary, and it really like strikes me, I guess, and I'm like, oh my god, I love that. I want to write about it. And the other one is I like characters that are the opposite of what they seem to be.
Oh.
And I'm just like obsessed
cool.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. My main place is folk tales. I am a folk tale lover, so I always go to get inspired by finding old myths, old art, old stuff. I like to dig into ancient things, and I like to think about how things would be now or then. I'm always thinking about time.
So then, do you make new characters, or like you modify old characters?
Yeah, like one time I was just doing some research and I found out it was about a flood in China, like 7,000 AD, something crazy, or 7,000 BC, whatever the older one is, BC.
AD.
AD.
Oh, BC is older.
BC.
Okay, yeah, BC is older.
Anyway, before 0. And and I remember just reading about something about this flood, and all of a sudden a story came to mind, and I had this boy and the girl and the flood and ancient China, and I was all excited about it. And of course I didn't have time to work on it, but I remember thinking, just I'll be reading a certain little fact and a story will just pop into my head. I don't know how it happens. Or not as much from people I meet, because I just love meeting people, and so I always want to find out more about them, but not necessarily write a whole story about them.
Yeah.
But would you keep your ideas in a notebook, or where do you put them?
I have a document on my laptop. It's called Book Ideas.
Oh, me too. It's the same title.
Nice.
Book Ideas. And then I have comments and lists and links. And
infinite.
So how do you decide which story to write?
Whichever one I have kind of fleshed out more.
Okay.
So, like, I have some really great ideas on this Book Ideas document, but some of them are just, like, they don't go beyond a sentence or two. And, like, they sound really great, but I'm like, how am I even going to start writing that if I don't know, the society, the culture, the everything, basically everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or the plot even.
You can get lost in research. I researched oceanography for 4 years.
Really?
I know a lot about the ocean.
Oh, and you wrote the story on mermaids.
I wrote a story on mermaids. I have more. I'll keep working on it. But you can get lost in research. So I think the best way is, I have a rule for me. If I start imagining some dialogue and I hear it in my head of 2 characters talking, then that means I have to work on that story.
Oh, that's
because
good.
If you put it off, you might not remember it. And usually if it's come to your head right then, there's some reason that you accessed that moment. So I think trying to write the story in order definitely would be harder.
Yeah.
So I'll find little bits of dialogue on my phone. It'll be like a dragon talking to a person, some great setting, and I'll be like, wow. Or I had like wolves coming out of the ocean, and there was something about a mailbox. I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. Like some abandoned gas station. It's like half-remembered dreams. You're like, what is this? This is exciting. Why didn't I finish writing this?
Some of the best stories come from like half made up dreams.
Yeah, I use my dreams a lot.
Yeah.
I'm much a better dreamer than a writer.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
And sometimes I've dreamed the answer to a problem in one of my novels or stories.
Oh, nice.
Like, though these characters are missing, I wonder where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they in the story? Why can't I think about where they're supposed to be?
Mm-hmm.
And I was working on that with my mermaid story, and I was like, where are all the mermen? Like, they're not in this story. It's kind of weird. And I was looking in mythology, trying to figure out what to do about it. And I had a dream that all the mermen were hiding out, pretending to be high school boys and going to high school over and over again, different high schools, like just, perpetually.
Yeah.
High school kids. And they had like afros and they had basketballs. And I was like, who are these guys and why are they hiding at this high school? But I didn't have time to. But dreams are cool because then you could go back and do like an exploratory draft.
Right.
And I went to this dream conference once, and they said...
A dream conference?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I want to go to that.
They're fun. And they said, when you're dreaming, if you start to realize you're dreaming, stop and just look out of the corner of your eye or like behind you where you wouldn't normally be looking, just to see what's there, because that might give you some clues about your dream you wouldn't normally notice. So I did that, and it was really freaky. I was having some normal dream about some people I know that are my friends, and I suddenly realized I was dreaming the lucid dream.
Yeah.
So I turned and tried the exercise and looked left to see what was on the other side of the room. And all the walls were made of aquariums with fish swimming in them.
Aww.
And that's when I was like, I have to finish this story about the freaking mermaids. So dreams are fun. You can get all kinds of
they are fun.
Good stuff in there. Yeah.
I've gotten a good bit of my ideas from dreams.
Yeah. So stories are everywhere. They're at work.
Mm-hmm.
They're in our dreams. They're in our imaginations. And how do you feel when you find a good story as the reader?
It's just awesome.
It's awesome. And it makes you feel like the world is okay again.
It makes, it kind of takes you out of whatever you're dealing with and just kind of like, wow, look at this amazing world where everything isn't perfect, but it could be.
Yeah. And you make new friends. And sometimes I feel like I have met 1 million people because I've read so many books,
Yeah, it's my dad always says that each book is like a different world.
Yeah.
It's like a different universe.
Yes.
And that makes me think of libraries. And it's just like, library is like a universe full of other universes. You know what I mean?
A universe full of other universes. I never thought of that before. So the library is actually the multiverse, and we just need to go.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. So we hope you enjoy a multiverse of stories, and send us your stories to flyingcatcherpress.com. Oh, but you have to go through the submittable submission page. Don't just email them to us.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Ketchupedia is brought to you by Flying Ketchup Press. What began as a collection of words for writers is now a springboard for classes, podcasts, and radio, one word at a time. Ketchupedia's name, logo, jingle, and concept were created with help from students from Kansas City Art Institute and Greenville University's Experience First capstone class, and inspired by our friends at Steele's Used Books. Join us every week on Sundays at 6 o'clock Central on One Kansas City Radio, KONN 100.1 FM, or wherever you get your podcasts.